In this Clash of Clans video, we are going to teach you the top 3 Town Hall 13 attack strategies. Now, I didn't want to bring this right as the Town Hall 13 update dropped, because we had to give time for the meta to settle and allow us to analyze which attacks were the best. However, following the latest Clan War Leagues, I am happy to bring you my top 3 Town Hall 13 attacks, so without further ado, let's get into it. Starting out with number 3, we have the dragons. Now, there are a few different ways to do the dragons: the Queen Charge, the Electron, the Frozen Dragon, which is more of that mass dragon attack. However, at Town Hall 13, the Queen Charge is most certainly the most popular because it's the strongest. You've got to take note of where that Town Hall is. With the added levels in terms of that Giga Inferno, you've got to take that Town Hall out early on with the dragons or with your kill squad, i.e. the Queen Charge. Now, in this attack, we are taking out the entire right-hand side of this base with the Queen Charge. So not only the Town Hall, but 2 air defenses, also the Clan Castle troops there as well, and creating pathing for the dragons. So let's go ahead and start the replay. We will continue to pause and teach you any relevant points for the dragon attack as we move through. Now, all of the replays you're about to see are by crunch time in our Champions League 1 matches of the Clan War Leagues. If you're interested in joining Crunch Time, be sure to check out my Discord link. It's down in the description of this video. That is where you will need to go to then find Crunch Time's Discord server. Now, let's just let you guys know that whenever you're doing a Queen Charge, you need to send the Queen where you want her to go. It sounds pretty obvious, but in this instance, we wanted the Queen directly onto the Town Hall, which means a funnel has to be created at the top with the enemy king being there. That is ideal to just do a quick king swap, put your own king there and take that out. The baby dragon is ideal over to this right hand side, checks for any bombs and also clears them buildings for the queen to walk straight in. Pretty self-sufficient at this point, but the Town Hall has to go down either with the Queen Charge or with the dragons early on. Make sure that your healers aren't getting in range of that Town Hall either. That is something you want to take note of. Minions coming in to help with the lava pups due to a lava hound CC is pretty obvious. Now, in terms of pathing for the dragons, the Queen is taking out this area with assistance from the Royal Champion. The King has taken down this left hand side, so the dragons can come straight into this portion, onto that multi-inferno and through once the air sweepers have gone down. Now, whenever you can, see if you can merge your Queen Charge and your dragons at the same time. So notice the Queen down the bottom here is safe. We don't really have to commit too much more to that Queen, but keep her alive. Try not to let her go down. Try not to take the dragons in from the opposite side. Now, the Stone Slammer is your main threat, your main asset, should I say, with your dragons. You could use the Siege Barracks for funneling. In fact, a sneak peek, guys, of the strategy coming up in number 2. The Siege Barracks and the Stone Slammer are often used for the same reason of the dragons. The dragons attack any building, so you've got to make sure that the pathing is set for them, and that is what I showed you earlier on. Now, you don't necessarily have to worry about the enemy queen as long as it's not going to draw your dragons off track. The dragons will take the queen down. Let's say, for in this example, they got to the middle of the base, they took that queen down, but let's say the queen was situated here to the right hand side, and that pulled the dragons away from, let's say, 2 air defense that was sitting here and constantly battering the dragons. That would not necessarily be an ideal situation. So 90% of the time you are fine to just plow through and take out that queen, but do take note of where she is situated in the base and if it is going to pull your dragons off course. As you can see, the level 8 dragons crushed this base, and dragons will do that if you can set up their pathing, if you can take down key objectives. The air defense, the Town Hall are key defenses, as I mentioned. So Kevin took down 2 air defenses and the Town Hall before the dragons even came in. Let's move to the next attack strategy. We now have one of my favorite attacks, the miners. The Queen Charge miners comes in at number 2, surged in popularity probably over the last week or two, but it is very powerful for you at Town Hall 13. Now this list is a little bit subjective, guys. Be sure to let me know your top 3 down in the comments, and whilst you're down there, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to see daily Clash of Clans videos. Now for the miners, I briefly touched upon in the first raid that it is very similar to the dragons in that they attack any building. So you've got to get the pathing right, and as with the dragons, you've got to try and get that town hall early on. Whether that be with your dragons or when you send the miners in, you've got to get to it. Now the miners have an added bonus here whereby they can get under the Giga Bomb. However, they will take a whole host of damage from the Giga Inferno, and if there are skeleton traps around that area, which a good base designer will put them there to slow the miners, then you can really take some damage, especially if there is a scatter shot there as well. Now in this replay, you notice that there's a scatter shot, a wizard tower, a bomb tower, huge amounts of splash damage, so we can assume that there would be skeleton traps around this area as well to try and stop the miners. So that is where it makes sense to come in with a Queen Charge, and that is what is happening here. Now with the miners, it's a little bit different to, let's say, hog riders that only target defenses, because you've got to set up the funnel. So let's briefly show you as a big overview here. We're using the Queen Charge to take out this area, we're using the siege barracks to take out this top area, and then you can see, similar to that dragon attack, that thin area where they can come through, and you know you can control their pathing. Now again, like we said in the previous raid, whenever you're trying to set the funnel and the enemy barbarian king is within that region, do consider using your own king, because with the ability you can power through that very easily. There's the skeleton traps coming off, look, for the miners. So whilst this is easy to get to early on, you've got to take note of, are the miners going to struggle in there? And let's say you got huge value with the Queen Charge on the other side of the base, you would have to consider using the Grand Warden's ability early on to help the miners through that. But again, the Queen takes that down, so we've mitigated that as a defense. The Clan Castle troops, again, are mitigating that as a defense. For the miners, if it is a one attack format, you've probably got to try and lure it, because the miners can take huge damage if there are dragons in the CC, but a lot of the time you can get through it as well. Similarly with that enemy Queen, you can get through her because the miners attack anything, not just defenses. So we're already starting the other side of the attack. Look, the Queen is continuing to take out this area, but she's carved that path. She is still safe. There are no more rage spells to put in this area though, just the Queen's ability. And remember, whilst it's not a perfect system because your Queen can go down, you can shift your focus a little bit because of the automatic ability. Now, whenever you can use the siege barracks to set the funnel up on this other side, so basically taking out all of this, then that is perfect, because you're essentially getting free troops. But with the miners, let's say there's a few defenses that are easy to get to here with the Pecker and Wizards and the help of a baby dragon, but if the miners were a lot more likely to come across to the side, you could opt for a stone slammer in order to help with that pathing. But again, we've got this nice narrow path to come in, and we've almost got a natural funnel because of the base design with a huge gap here. Now we have seen with the Yeti Smash attack strategy that the Hog Riders are a great troop to then come out of the siege barracks, and that is what is used in this one as well. I would definitely recommend that. They're able to come forward into this section, merge in with the miners, and essentially we have been able to create a virtual funnel and a free funnel because we haven't committed our troops to do that. The Hog Riders are now in the mix, helping with the miners. Similar with the dragons, we've kept that Queen alive to the bottom. The miners had pretty much a straight shot through the base, so this was most certainly an ideal base for the miners. Brilliant identification by crunch time, brilliant execution, and that is how you can be using the miners. Here it is then, your number one attack strategy, the best Town Hall 13 attack strategy, goes to the Yetis. Now there's a few different ways to do this, but using that brand new troop, the strongest is in combination with the P.E.K.K.A. Almost like the previous P.E.K.K.A. Smash style attacks for Town Hall 12, but instead of having bowlers who were often quite squishy and would go down easily, you have the Yeti, the new troop, which is a bit stronger, has a bit more HP, and the Yeti mites can attack over walls, similar to what the bowlers used to do, in order to take out defenses. So they basically replace the bowlers from the P.E.K.K.A. Smash, and it is super strong. And there's a few different reasons I've given it the number one. Not only is it super strong, but it is very safe as well. There's not a lot of risk in terms of you missing the 2-star, but there's a few things that you have to get down. I will teach you in this attack, but I will link you across after this replay to a video I did specifically on this strategy if you want to see more. Now, similar to the other two attacks, you're seeing a theme here, but coming into the Town Hall is a must here. As you start getting to the other side of the base, it's a little bit trickier to control your troops, so you've got to come into that Town Hall early. You've got to get pathing through the base, and you've got to try and control your troops through the base as well. So in this one, we come in by the Town Hall, and everything is controlled through to get all three multi-infernos, the eagle, the scatter shots, everything. We can leave the sides of the building. You can use the base, sorry. You can use the stone slammer, the royal champion, a few different things to take that out, but your best option is going to be a Grand Warden walk to set this one up. So do send in a balloon ahead of them healers. You don't want to lose a healer right off the bat if you can help it, but the great thing about a Grand Warden walk is because this is a relatively fast strategy, you can spend the first 50 seconds to a minute with that Grand Warden walk, and you can set up a free funnel. Now what I mean by that is you are not using any troops. You might use one or two, but the healers are going to be used with the actual push, as is the Grand Warden. Because he has the greater range, he can reach inside the base to take them out as well, so they will not be tempted to go around the side. Often I would use my king on this opposite side if there is any risk of your troops moving, because the main reason that I have seen this attack fail is if you do not get that funnel set up. So on this one, we use the jump spell to get them into this compartment. There is nowhere else for them to go. They're going into the base here. There's nothing going to draw them around this side. So you've got to get that set up, and we're going to access that Town Hall early on. If you can sideswipe the Town Hall, i.e. come into a compartment next to it and have everything shoot across and get it, then it is a bonus because you're not going to take much damage from the Giga Bomb. However, as a general rule of thumb, do try and use your Grand Warden's ability in order to help that. Now, your best option here is to either use the Siege Barracks or the Stone Slammer, similar to how that P.E.K.K.A. Smash attack strategy used to be used at Town Hall 12. The ways of doing this is to use your Siege Barracks to create the funnel, so actually, even though our troops are in the middle, arguably we still need these top buildings down in order to make sure that the pathing is through the middle of the base and they're not tempted to walk up the top and lose momentum coming to this back portion of the base. So it's not just the initial funnel, it's maintaining that through the base as well. So that's where the Siege Barracks is helpful in this one. Hog Riders are probably going to be your best bet because when they come out, all of the defenses which have been gutted on this side, they will just come straight down and into the base. But do take note of where they are likely to go, because if they go around the outside, it can be helpful. And if you are requiring them to take out a huge portion of the base, and they're going to be over there by themselves, do take a heal spell as well. Sorry guys. And that is what is happening right now. So I want to quickly pause because the replay is coming to a close, and I want to make sure that you guys have got everything you need about this strategy. The heal spell for the Hog Riders because they were by themselves. 3 jump spells in this one to get access through the base. You might not always need 3 jump spells. You might be able to get away with 2 if you can. That's an extra rage spell for your Yetis, which is massive. Or you can go with the 4 earthquake method, for example, in the center, if that gave you appropriate pathing, because it might take a massive amount of damage onto the buildings and help you through that area. So control your Yeti through the base, make sure they're not spreading out all over the place, because that is one reason that this attack strategy tends to fail, and make sure you ultimately get that funnel, get them into the base, because that is the other way that I've seen this attack fail. Now, if you don't get the 3 stars, you're likely to get a high percentage 2-star, which is massive in the Clan War Leagues. In these single attack style wars, it is very safe. Try and hold on to that Grand Warden's ability, or not the Grand Warden, the Royal Champion, sorry, wiped out the Tesla at the bottom there. Absolutely huge. So whilst your Yeti are in the base, wiping things out, the Royal Champion can come around the side, the Hog Riders can, and I just feel like this has to be your #1 attack strategy. One key thing here as well, guys, notice the Yeti mites in one of the Yeti's baskets, but all of the others are empty. You only get a set amount of Yeti mites. They will slowly come out, and the rest will come after the Yeti goes down. But just take note, towards the end of the attack, if the healers have been on the Yetis, you're likely to not have the Yeti mites towards the end of the raid. So that is your top 3. Be sure to let me know if you agree with me, and if you do want to see more attacks, a little bit more explanation about this attack, the Yetis, be sure to check out this video, guys. It will teach you a little bit more about it. But that wraps it up for this one. If you want to, be sure to subscribe as well, because we will see you back here again tomorrow. Until then, take care.